let's begin with today's session, guys. So uh, the next pre-processing technique that we have is variable transformation. So we'll see what is this variable transformation. Variable transformation refers to a transformation that is applied to all the values of the variable. When I say variable here, it is nothing but attributes is what I'm referring to. Variable here is nothing but attributes. So what we are going to do is we are trying to convert the values of a particular attribute, that is attribute values, into one particular format, any one particular format. That is what is your transformation is. You are transforming from one format into some other format. That is what is transformation here. Say for example, consider for each object in the transformation, consider a variable in which only the magnitude is important. When I say magnitude, is nothing but the values present is important. In such cases, the suitable value or the suitable transformation that we can apply is by taking the absolute value of it. So you will understand this through some examples. So as of now, what is variable transformation? It refers to the transformation applied to all the values of a particular attribute to convert it into one particular type. That's all, right? So there are different types of transformations that we can apply. One is simple functional transformation, and the other one is normalization. Simple functional transformation or normalization. Normalization is also sometimes called as standardization. Fine. So let's first understand what is this, what do we have in this simple functional transformation. So as the name itself indicates, this simple transformation includes simple mathematical functions which are used for the transformation purpose. And say suppose x is the variable, and the simple mathematical transformation that includes might be taking x, all the values of x is converted into some power, say k, or I'm taking log of all the values present, or say consider I'm taking it as e power x, or I'm taking 1 by x. All these are the various transformations that can be applied, and this transformation depends upon your analysis what you are doing. But the thing is, your values are getting transformed into some other format. That's all. So that is what here is a simple functional transformation. But one important thing that we have to keep in mind here is when we are performing transformation, the nature of the data changes. So you must be very, very, very careful regarding the transformation that you are going to apply, because if the analysis requires a particular kind of format, and say consider you by mistake apply a transformation which does not yield that value which is required for the analysis purpose. So that should not happen. Since the nature of the data here is getting changed, you must be very careful with respect to the transformation that you are applying. For that, let us consider one example. Here the magnitude of the data what we're having, for the analysis purpose, say consider we want the values of x to be as less as possible. The values of x must be as less as possible. Clear? And for this purpose, say consider I'm applying a transformation of 1 by x. I'm taking transformation 1 by x, or applying the transformation 1 by x, so that the values of x what I have gets reduced. The value of x, the what I have, that gets reduced. But here, since you know that what is 1 by x, what do you mean by 1 by x? Actually, it is nothing but taking the reciprocal of the actual values. That's all, right? Taking the reciprocal. When you take 1 by x, it is nothing but you are reciprocating the values whatever you have got. Remember what kind of values you want for the analysis. For the analysis, you want those values which are as less as possible. That is, you say you if you have 1, you want a value less than 1 for your analysis. Say you have 3, you want a value which is less than 3 for your analysis. Like that it is. Clear? So here, whether applying 1 by x will give you a proper result or not, it depends upon the value of x. What is the values that we have? So what do I mean by that is, take this example here. Say I am having my values are 1, 2, 3, 4. But for analysis purpose, I want values less than that for less than this for the analysis or for that particular algorithm. In this case, if I apply the transformation, if I apply the transformation 1 by x, what will I get? I'll get 1 will be written as it is, 1, 2 will get reduced to half, that is 1 by 2 it becomes, 3 gets reduced to 1 by 3, 4 gets reduced to 1 by 4. Now this new value for x1, whatever you have got, these are all less than or equal to the original values what we have got, correct? These values, the new values, whatever we have got is less than or equal to the original values that we have. So this x1, I can take it for analysis because my analysis, the algorithm that I have used wants values less than the actual value. So I have performed this transformation. This transformation 1 by x is what I have applied. And this 1 by x has given me this set of values, and with this set of values I will be able to perform the analysis because these values what I've got here is less than this values what I have here, correct? But say consider now this is the original values what you are having. For this you apply this transformation 1 by x, what you will be getting, you will be getting 1 2 3 4. Now when you compare this set and this set, is x2 values in x2 less than x? No, it is greater than x, right? But can I take this for analysis? No, because my analysis requires values less than these values. So when I want values less than this, transformation of 1 by x becomes invalid. It becomes invalid. That is what I was talking about. When you apply the transformation, you should be very careful because it is going to change the nature of the data. So hope you have understood this example, right? So the transformation that that we were applying was 1 by x, and for the analysis purpose we want values less than the actual values. So in the first case it was valid because when I applied transformation of this 1 2 3 4, I was getting new values which are less than this only. So applying transformation 1 by x was valid for first case. But in the second case, when I apply the transformation, I was getting values greater than the actual values. So which means that this 1 by x transformation I cannot apply considering the algorithm which I've used for the analysis purpose. This is just for one example. And applying transformation depends upon the example that you're taking or the analysis that you are going to perform. Clear? So that is what is a simple functional transformation what we had. So hope you have understood this, right? So we'll go for the next one, that is normalization or standardization. So this is again one more way of performing the variable transformation. So in this case, what is happening? The goal of this normalization or standardization procedure is to make an entire set values have a particular property. So suppose consider you have each values having different properties. You are going to convert those values such that all the values will possess only one particular property. Clear? For that, the example taken is the standard example that we have in statistics is taken as an example here. Suppose consider I am having variable x and this variable x is having say 5 values. When I say when I have 5 values, the mean and the I suppose consider I'll take the mean and standard deviation. Obviously, it will be each depending upon the values that we have in x, the mean and standard deviation varies, correct? Depending upon the values that I am having for x, our mean and standard deviation varies. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to perform a transformation, and that transformation is something like this. X1 is equals to x minus x bar. When I say x bar, it is nothing but mean divided by standard deviation. When you perform this transformation for all different values that we have, we will get mean to be equal to 0 and standard deviation equal to 1. So which means I'm going to standardize that whichever value we take, suppose we apply this transformation, mean of all those values will be equal to 0 and mean of the standard deviation of all those value will be equal to 1. So this is your normalization or standardization. You are converting the values such that you will get a standard value which is fixed. Clear? That is what is normalization. Say for example, you can try out this for two different set. Consider in one set you are having x values 1 2 3 4 5, and in the other set you are having values 10 11 12 13 14 15. So you find mean and standard deviation for these two sets, and then what you do is apply the transformation for both sets separately. Then again you try to find mean and standard deviation of the transformed value. You are going to get mean to be equal to 0 and standard deviation to be equal to 1 in both the case. That is what is standardization. So for that you have to do it on your own. You can try that out by taking two simple sets. So this is your variable transformation. One, by applying simple mathematical functions we can perform the transformation, and another one is standardization. So which wherein in case of normalization or standardization you will have one general formula, and that formula you will be taking for all the set of values. But in the previous case it was not like that. Depending upon the values and the analysis that we are going to perform, we can choose any of the transformation available. In case of normalization or standardization, I can say that you will have a general formula so that you will get a standardized value. So students, with this, we have come to the end of pre-processing step, data pre-processing. So actually we had, I think 8 different steps or different techniques of data pre-processing, starting from the aggregation, what we have learned, aggregation, then sampling we have learned, and then we have learned about data reduction and dimensionality reduction, and then we learned the feature subset selection, then feature creation, and then we had this variable transformation. So all this comes under your data pre-processing. So with this variable transformation, we have come to the end of data pre-processing, but your chapter is not yet end. So we do have one small topic, I can tell a problematic topic left with, which let us begin with that. What it is, we'll see the introduction to that so that we'll be able to cover the syllabus. Is it clear? So I would want you people to stay attentive for another 5 to 10 minutes. All right. So the next topic that we are going to see is measures of similarity and dissimilarity. So this is one of the important topic with respect to data mining. So the reason for this is this technique, that is similarity and dissimilarity, it has been used in various data mining tasks such as clustering, nearest neighbor classification, anomaly detection, etc. So in various data mining tasks like this, we will be applying these measures of similarity and dissimilarity. Okay. So in this chapter we will be using the term called as proximity. When I say proximity, it refers to similarity or dissimilarity. It can be either similarity or it can be dissimilarity. Clear? So when you hear the word proximity, you should understand it as either it is, I'm talking about either similarity, or I'll be talking about dissimilarity. That is what is your proximity. First, let us see what the similarity is. Similarity is nothing but, when I consider similarity between two objects, the measure of degree to which the two objects look same. So that is what is similarity. Similarity between two objects is a numerical measure of the degree to which the two objects looks alike. If the two objects are same, then obviously you will have high value for the similarity. In general, the values for similarity is lies between 0 and 1. If the value of when I'll take two objects, I will find similarity between them. If I'm going to get value as 0, which means that those two objects are not similar to each other. If I'm going to get value as 1, which means that the two objects that I've considered is completely similar to each other. And if I'm going to get anywhere in between, then depending upon whether it is close to 0 or 1, I can tell that how much close they are or how much matching they are. So that is what is your similarity here. Hope you have understood what is similarity. It is nothing but the measurement of degree to which the both objects look same or both objects are similar to each other. So it lies generally the values lies between 0 1. If the values are not lying between 0 and 1, if it is having some other values, and in such cases we can apply transformations as we have studied, and again we are going to study in further also in this same topic. We are going to learn the transformations again, and we'll see how to reduce it to 0 and 1. Now, various similarity measures includes a simple matching coefficient, which is in short called as SMC, Jaccard coefficient, cosine similarity, etc. In examination, you will get problems with respect to any one of these. In most of the papers with respect to Jaccard coefficient and cosine similarity, we have got problems. Right? We'll see each one of these techniques. We have a few more techniques or few more measures. We'll see everything one by one. Clear? So similarity is nothing but finding how much similar two objects are. Next is dissimilarity. Exactly opposite for similarity. As here the degree to which we will be finding the numerical measure which tells us the degree to which both objects are dissimilar. So here, if the objects are similar, then the dissimilarity value will be low. If the objects are dissimilar, then the value will be high. So that is how it is. Here, generally the common values is the value lies between 0 and infinity. But some cases we can also bring it down to 0 and 1 by applying suitable transformation. So various dissimilarity measure includes distance. This is the main thing. Distance is a dissimilarity measure. And in this distance, we have something called as Euclidean distance. We have something called as Hamming distance or Manhattan distance. And we have something called as supremum distance. Three different distances we are going to learn. Euclidean distance, the Manhattan distance, and supremum distance. I think you might have heard one or two of these in some other subjects also. Euclidean, Hamming distance, uh, you might have heard. Let's see what are those in coming classes. Clear? So this is about the introduction to what is similarity and dissimilarity is. When I say similarity, you are going to find how both objects are similar to each other. When I say dissimilarity, the exact opposite to that, how much they are dissimilar to each other. So we are going to solve more problems on these. There are various different different measures, and we are going to consider them one by one in coming classes. The next topic in this is transformation. This similar to the variable transformation what we have learned, but very specific to similarity and dissimilarity measure. So here, when I say transformation, it often refers to how would you convert a similarity measure into a dissimilarity measure, or vice versa. That is from dissimilarity to similarity. That is what is the transformations we are talking about here. And also, sometimes say consider, as I told earlier, the proximity measure is having values other than 0 and 1. Say consider you are having values from 1 to 10, and but you want to get it into the range 0 to 1. In such cases, we will apply transformation so that we would get the values in the required range. That is what is the transformation here. So one example given here is, say if the similarity value is in the range 1 to 10. When I say 1 to 10, 1 means completely no similarity or dissimilar. When I say 10, if the measure, I'll apply some measure and get to know that similarity between two objects is 10, which means that it is completely similar to each other. Higher the value, similarity, the extent to which the similarity is there also increases, right? Now, if I want to get this into the range of 0 to 1, then I can apply the transformation as given below. I can tell that S1 is equals to S minus 1 by 10. Say suppose my similarity is 5. What I do is 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 by 9 is what I take. So that will give me a value within the range 0 to 1. That is what is the transformation applied. This is a simple example what I've taken. In general, if you want to apply the transformation to find similarity and dissimilarity, this is how you can do it. Similarity is equals to S minus minimum of S divided by max of S minus min of S. And here when I say max of S, it is nothing but maximum similarity value. When I say min of S, it is nothing but minimum similarity value. So these are the two formulas in general which you can apply to bring the values into the range 0 to 1. So these are the formulas. I repeat again, these are the formulas which are used to get the values to the range 0 to 1. Clear? There are some other cases also. You can use even these formulas. If already the proximity is lying between 0 to 1, then if I have uh, dissimilarity, then I can apply S is equals to 1 minus D so that I'll get similarity. So here it is wrongly mentioned. The second case is, the second one is for dissimilarity. I have similarity and I have to find dissimilarity. In that case, I can apply D is equals to 1 minus S. This formula here, these two formulas are used when your similarity or dissimilarity lies in this range. Clear? Direct, this is dissimilarity. This is dissimilarity. Okay. And other transformation include this, any of these transformation you can use. Clear? So this is the general formula which would help you to get down the range to 0 to 1. This is a general formula, and this is the formula when you have it in the range, but you have to find, if you have given with the dissimilarity and you have to find similarity. In that case, you use this. You have similarity given and you have to find dissimilarity, you can use this. Okay, these are the transformations that we have. Thank you, students. If you have any doubts or queries or for feedback, you can write back to me. Thank you.